Yeah, so you got it exactly right, Michella. So South Carolina, clearly the number one most picked team. So 38.48% of our brackets have South Carolina winning it all. Kind of, you can see here, pretty consistent, since the brackets were out. Iowa dip below 30. It's okay. It's okay, Iowa fans. It's still almost 30%, but still clearly the number two most popular team to win it all. And like you said, LSU again on the three line. You could say maybe slept on at only a little over 5%, 5.5%, but still out of all the two seeds. So it's kind of a funny thing with LSU is defending national champion, all that talent back, getting picked by only 5.39% of brackets so far. But that's out of all the twos. So it's not, and two of the ones. So it's not like people are overlooking them. It's just that as we've seen the last few days, these two teams are just so far ahead of everybody else. There's just not much other space like everybody else, in the pie there. But still, LSU is still the third most popular team at almost 5.5%. UConn there, of course, and Texas and USC falling on the 1C line. So those are the kind of the stories. Still kind of the same thing that we've been seeing. So not much changing like we've seen, the drastic side on the men with Kevin McCullough's injuries kind of changed things on the men's side, at least in one kind of part of the region. But the women's bracket, at least right now, still pretty consistent with the favorites we've seen so far. But I think it's kind of always good to talk about the upsets. Autumn said how much upsets make her make what March Madness so wonderful for her. And we mentioned yesterday, still kind of the same thing. Middle Tennessee, Green Bay, Florida Gulf Coast, and A&M are the big ones right now. I know we talked about before, Autumn, but I think you and I are on the same page about Florida Gulf Coast. Not that, we have good reason to be. They've won it as a 12 seed the last 2 years. They're the most popular 12 seed again. Again, you can see, maybe listen to us the last few days. They're going up a little bit, so above 27%. So 27% of brackets have Florida Gulf Coast beating Oklahoma in the first round. We'll see if that goes a little higher. Like I said, I'm surprised it's not a little higher because that's a name that people know as an upset potential
Yeah.
team the last 2 years of the 12 seed line. Again, not that 27 percent is low, especially on the women's side where there aren't as many upsets. So maybe I'm kind of expecting things there, but that's still a big number for a 12 seed. But you can see 11 seeds are still the big ones right now. But in terms of the game that's closest and toughest to pick right now, it's Ole Miss Marquette. So you can see, look how close it is between those two. So that one has been giving people a lot of issues on the 7-10 line, and of course some more some 8-9s in there as well. Princeton, West Virginia, Michigan State, UNC. That's kind of how it looks right now. Again, nothing changing too dramatically in terms of team really getting picked up a lot compared to yesterday. Things changing on the margin. Fairfield's now above 11% to pull off an upset against Indiana in the first round. Fairfield just has one loss on the year, so they maybe, if you want to dig deep and pick a really big upset, maybe start with Fairfield or maybe go with Marshall. Marshall's a top 13 seed right now, and of course, I think the cool thing about the Marshall game is they get Virginia Tech, which should be a fun one there. We'll see if they can get the job done there. So those are kind of the big ones right now. But yeah, I'm curious to see if things change a little bit in terms of the margins. If maybe we'll see Simone cut into those big, huge percentages of South Carolina, Iowa. But I think people are pretty locked in on those two right now.
Nothing surprising there, Autumn, is there?
Not too much to me. I mean, when you look at FGCU, as Stats mentioned, I mean, they were a team who beat North Carolina this year and Kentucky. They're the seventh straight ASUN champs. They're consistently a dominant NCAA tournament team. So when they come in, a lot of people sleep on them, but you shouldn't because of the threes that they can shoot at a high clip in the offense that, Coach Mezco has been able to curate for his tenure in his coaching career for FGCU, kind of putting them on the map. So that's not too shocking to me. And I look at that matchup for Oklahoma. If they can get that job done, they would possibly face Indiana if it goes chalk. And we still don't know the status of Mackenzie Holmes. So possibly they can go further. So we'll see. And interestingly enough, you mentioned Virginia Tech too, the status of Elizabeth Kitley. We're still not unsure of that. For Marshall to come in, and we know how they like to get shots up constantly. We saw that in the tournament. We're not sure what, how that can fare against just Georgia A. Moore on that team and the balance that they can have in that matchup whenever you look at Marshall. So I wonder if Elizabeth Kitley is going to be available for this matchup. But those could be two really good sleepers to pick. And the Ole Miss Marquette one, that one got me, but I went with Ole Miss. I'm not betting against Coach Yo and what she was able to do with Stanford to move on. So I'm gonna keep that one.